Thank you guys so much for being here. We appreciate you taking the time out of your day to spend a few minutes with us. We are here for the webinar between Evolve and Excella. We're going to be talking about how we can use tech to shape the citizen experience in community development. So just a couple of housekeeping items, just real quick. We will go through the agenda very briefly here. We'll do some introductions and then we'll discuss some of the issues surrounding community development and the role that technology plays in it. During the webinar, if you guys have questions, if you would drop them in the Q&A portion here in Zoom. And we will either address them as we go if they're relevant at the moment, or we will use some time here at the end in order to answer some of those questions that you guys have. We very much encourage the questions. This time we set aside and put the effort into building these webinars out. It's only as useful as you guys can take the information back and apply it. So please ask those questions. We're happy to answer those. And make sure that this is a meaningful little bit of time for you guys joining us today. So with us today, I have Julie Piscotti. She is the Senior Product Manager with Excella. We also have Miss Rita Anderson, who is the Plans Manager for Shelby and Memphis County, Tennessee. And then myself, I'm Christine Brakefield. I'm the Director of Partner Management and Enablement with Evolve Software. So we'll be the ones chatting with you guys today. And like I said, I've been spending a little time with these ladies here recently, and I know that they will also be just as happy to answer your questions as I will. So please make sure to drop them in there. Just a quick little background on Excella and Evolve. We have had a partnership and been working in collaboration for close to 10 years now. I think it's actually a little over a decade. And we have about 80 or more joint customers across North America. And basically where we play is Evolve sits as the electronic planner view leader in the solution market there. And we do work very closely with Excella with some of their customers and providing their customers an electronic plan review solution. So what we look to do is we look to really leverage those partner type relationships. And that's kind of what these last two bullet points are about, is we don't look to just connect the technologies. We really look to build out very robust integrations between the two. And we do that through collaboration and recurring meetings on multiple levels. So, through the product teams, through, C-level executives, we're collaborating with each other as we both move our technologies further forward in kind of a joint effort to make sure that our customers like Memphis and Shelby County are supported in a strong partnership from the technology side as well. And those are a couple of, well, you'll hear that kind of be a theme throughout today as we talk through some of these talking points. So let's get into the meat of it, what you guys are here for, the discussion items. So the first one that we wanted to talk about was how do citizens and their expectations for customer experiences bring how do they bring that expectation to the public sector, and what are some of the challenges associated with that? And I'll kind of start us off here, but and then Rita, I'll probably ask you for some input. But in my former life, prior to being with Evolve, I spent some time as a building official, and one of the things that I noticed was as a kind of a culture, we're all very accustomed to that almost Amazon type experience, right? Just be able to easily get online, find the information that you're looking for, have it there at your fingertips, and then quickly and easily be able to navigate what it is you're trying to purchase or the information you're trying to consume. And in the public sector, that's been a little behind. Public sector has a tendency to be a little bit slower in adopting some technologies. And while there is a wealth of information available in the public sector, it's oftentimes not the most accessible to the citizens that are in your community. They, have to make a couple of phone calls to find the information out that they're trying to get to. And typically business hours are 8 to 5 when they are also working. And so some of the things that I noticed in my tenure as a building official was that information was there, it was just, how do we package this in a way that is more successful or more accessible to them, to when they go look for it, they are successful in finding it, right? And you can put information on a website, but the website has to be laid out in a, accessible and meaningful way, logical, decision trees for them to get to where they need to go. And so that can when we start talking through all of that, that can really feel like an overwhelming task for public agencies to try to tackle. And so that's something both Excella and Evolve really try to bring our expertise to the table, and assist agencies like Memphis Shelby County, and assisting that and making sure that it's a little bit more seamless of a process. But Rita, maybe you can talk us through a little bit what some of the main issues that you see with the customer experience are in your current role.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be more than happy to. I think it's twofold. When you adopt a new software, new plan review or permitting process, not only do you need to train staff, but staff needs to be able to train the public on how to apply for permit and how to obtain the information that's needed. And I think a website is really helpful, a well-designed website. So it's a time issue that the staff needs to provide to the citizens. And we provided a lot of public information, training, one-on-one training, group training for not only staff, but for the public as well. And once, so we will take time out. If you're a contractor, a licensed architect that will use a system a lot, we will take the time, it's like, let me take the time and explain this so that it's easier for them. The great part is that once they understand how to retrieve that information, it's really easy. It saves staff a lot of time because they can follow the process of that plan review. And so it prevents, we don't have all the phone calls like, hey, what's the status? What's this? They have the comments once the plans, when somebody applies for the plans, it's accepted. Once they have all the correct information, then it's disseminated to the different departments to review simultaneously. And as they complete their workflow, the applicant's notified of what the comments are, if they've been approved or what's needed. And so after that first review, then comments can be, responses can be uploaded and can be reviewed. I think that is really important. And initially it takes a little bit longer to train everybody, but in the long term, it really saves a lot of time.
Yeah, absolutely. So something that Rita just touched on was transparency. Julie, maybe you can explain a little bit about the transparency that occurs when the permitting process is digitalized.
Yeah, thank you, Rita. That's such good points there. In order to provide that transparency that our citizens and the businesses that we serve want, we have to switch our thinking to putting them at the center of the process. We have to think about it from their vantage point. So you think about what they would expect. Christine mentioned a well thought out decision trees on their website, on your website. They have you have to think about what questions are going to come up as part of the permit process, as part of the plan review process. And then when you go to put this process online and anticipate these items and plan for these items on your site, this is where the transparency is really achieved. Now, I'm not going to lie, it is hard work. Rita said it, right? It takes time on the upfront to think through the processes and to think through what are the steps and how can we align our different departments within our agency to align on this process. But once it's in place, I completely agree with you, Rita. You know, the time savings from the in-person and the phone calls and the emails, the ROI is there on it.
Absolutely. So that feeds in very well to the second question we have here is, what role does technology play in supporting better citizen experiences for planning and permitting services specifically? So some of the things that obviously our two technologies are mostly centered around the conversations we're having today are mostly centered around, your planning and your permitting, your application type intake processes. And one of the things that we have seen as an outcome of the strength and the partnership that Evolve and Excella have is really just providing fairly seamless and efficient solution for your applicants, so that in those citizens that are interacting with your portals, so that they're not, bouncing around multiple places and things of that nature. So kind of with that in mind, Rita, maybe if you can describe how Shelby and Memphis County have improved the agency efficiency pieces around the citizen experience in leveraging some of that cohesion between the two technologies.
Okay,
There you go.
well, we are fortunate that we have 100% electronic submittal for commercial projects. Now, where we are a little bit behind is we have about 60% electronic submission for residential applications. And that is kind of one of our main challenges. Because a lot of so a regular contractor, a developer, they already know how to apply for the permit. That's easy. It's the one-time homeowner that, once every 4 years, they're going to do something. And that's where you're going to have to do a little bit more hand holding, especially depending on their age. There's that to consider. And so that is and that's one of the areas that we would like to improve. But the applicant has the availability to walk into our office. We take the paper plans, we scan it into the system, and then it's uploaded electronically. So we will always have that electronic copy. And then at that same time, the permit technician has the opportunity to explain how to retrieve that information, how to print the plans, and how to see the information that's available online for them. And so, but then again, I want to go back. It's like you're training both staff and the citizens, and we do have videos available for a citizen, a first-time person. But again, that I think will always be the challenge, because depending on your age group, they're technically challenged and they don't want to take the time. And if they're only applying for a permit once every 5 years, it doesn't take much time on our part to just resolve that.
Actually, Christine, can I jump in? Rita, you said a really good point. It's
Absolutely.
training the agency and the citizens. And one of the things about going digital is that there's one process, right? Like there's not 14 different processes anymore, because we're all needing to adhere to the online process that we all agreed on. And so it does kind of cut out some of those, well, this agent said this and they did this, and it's different when I do it this way. It does simplify it for both sides, the citizen and the agency.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And it simplifies it. And to Rita's point, you can't, like, the communities and the applicant communities specifically that we are serving are diverse, right? They're diverse in so many different ways. And they're, the one that we interact with with the most diversity is their technical abilities, right? What's been their previous experience. I'll be honest, before I started working with the city, I really had no idea what a planning or permitting process was. I mean, I had heard of them, but I did not truly understand them. And so I think sometimes, and speaking for myself, I think sometimes when you're working in that day to day, you're looking at things through that lens. And so one thing that I've really seen work very successfully with multiple of our agencies are not only the training for both sides, getting feedback from your applicant community as you're going through the process, and then also having options. So one of the things that Rita mentioned was some of the training tools that they have, but also the different approaches that they're taking to the process overall, right? Those individuals who just need a carport permit, once in their lifetime, we don't need to spend the resources to train them how to go in and, get the comments that, like we're showing here from the online portal. So we have the ability to be agile in our responses as an agency and how we bring that technology to the applicant community. And I think it's really important that we do keep that in mind, that there is not going to be one size fits all. There can be a one size fits most. and we can guide them to be as successful. The more information that we can put out there, the more likely they will be in successfully following our process. But we do need to be agile as agencies and as technology providers to really make sure that we can meet the needs of the entire applicant community, regardless of their technical abilities or what they might have available to them. So just one last thing I want to comment real quick on this before I move on to the next question is this is just kind of a couple screenshots real quickly of the ways that our two technologies work together. This is just a quick demonstration of how we really leverage that partnership and try to make this a seamless experience for your applicant. What you're looking at here is actually it's one screenshot, so we can just focus on the one on the left here. You're looking at the two technologies working together. But if you are an applicant coming in not knowing, you would not know that there are two technologies functioning here in this same window. So we really do work to through that partnership to make this a seamless process, not only for you guys as the plan reviewers, but that applicant community as well. So this is just kind of a quick example of that. All right. And then the $1 million question. Where can agencies go from here? So we've talked a lot about about what the applicant community is like and that sort of thing, and just kind of what some of the current pain points we have are in this transition to, and what seems like a constant transition to becoming digital or more digital. So what kind of advice would you guys give to agencies who are, looking either to make the jump into something that's more of a digital application process? Maybe they're coming from paper, or they're coming from something more that's like email based, or if they're already doing a digital process, looking to maybe make a change in the solution that they're using. What are some of the suggestions that you guys would make? And maybe Julie, I'll start with you, and then we'll come to you, Rita.
Yeah. So I think going back to what I said earlier about putting the citizen or the businesses that you're serving in the center of it, and really thinking about what the ROI is, or what the business problem is that you're trying to solve for. So one of the agencies I'm working with, one of our customers said, we really just need people to apply for permits for water heaters. It's one of these areas that are, it's a risky area for us, because there's a lot involved in terms of getting it set up correctly. And we want to make it as easy as possible for homeowners, because this is one of those homeowners ones who try to do this on their own, to tell us, so that we know, so that we can help, and we have visibility into the work that's being done in the homes. And so they put it at a really low price point, because they said our goal is just to get people to start getting these permits. So it was like a $20 permit where they lose money on it, right? It's not about making the money back. It's really about partnering with the community and letting them know that they want to be part of these projects. And it lowers the risk for everyone, right? Making sure they're using licensed contractors and so on and so forth. So I've seen agencies be really creative in this way, right? Like what is the problem they want to solve? They want citizens, people who try to do this on their own, to apply for these permits. And so they created a flow that it's one or two, it's two questions, it's two questions. They pay like a $20 fee, and then it's done. And so that it really, what it's about is understanding what is the goal you're trying to achieve, and then building the digital experience around it. So that's where I would start.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I think that is the challenge. You want to make it easy for people to apply for permits. That's the whole intent of the building department, is to make sure that everybody's safe. And you need to make the system as easy for them as well. The other great thing that I think once you go digital that we really use is that the metrics. You can keep track as to how long, so for staff improvement, how long it takes from application intake to acceptance, how long it takes for review, and how long does it take to have the customer return comments, and how long does it take to process a permit. And so you're always checking these metrics to see where you can improve on the project and the product, and feedback from the community, especially most professionals they're already used to the system because they deal with other jurisdictions that have a digital plan review, so they're fairly adaptable. But the main issue would be the homeowners that every once in a while apply for the permit, and to make it as easy for them as possible, because if it comes too complicated, they're not going to apply for the permit.
Right. Yeah. It becomes something that's preventative instead of them engaging in it. Rita, would you maybe would you highlight just a little bit on how, because you guys use both of our technologies. So maybe would you speak just a little bit about how the integration between Acela and Evolve has impacted your citizen experience specifically?
I'm sorry, is that for me?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
Um, so we have Acela, and we review the plans. You can mark up the plans. It creates a report. We have a great history of that. They work very well together. And as you said, you don't notice that there's a different program associated with it. It really works well. It notifies the applicant whenever there's an update to any workflow. And and you can mark up the plans. And it's like, this is the area I'm talking about. This is the exit door that's not quite wide enough. You're missing an exit here. That's very useful. And also oftentimes that we say approved as noted. So we make some notes on the plans and say, hey, we're approving it, but you need to do this, this, stamp them, and the permit is issued.
Absolutely. Julie, from your experience, is there anything that you would kind of put out there for agencies to look for as like a solid business case or best practice when they're looking for not only a new technology, but maybe multiple technologies, and how integrations like the integration that we have between Acela and Evolve can really be a difference maker in, you know, the success rate of those changes?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, starting with what is your goal as an agency? Is it that you want to increase the number of permits that are being applied for? Is it that you want to simplify the 3 or 4 top permit processes that cause your staff the most time and energy outside, you know, from the in-person and the phone calls? And then from there, it's really charting out the course. So what is it that your agency requires of the building the building company or the citizen to actually apply for? What are the steps that are taken, and what are the back and forths that happen? With the Evolve Acela partnership, it's all around plan review, right? So Acela is sort of the bookends around that, right? It's the start finding out if the which permit I need to apply for, providing the information that the agency is asking for, and then doing the plan review, uploading the plans. So you can, in Acela, you write out exactly what the requirements are, the expectations are. There's checks in place to make sure those things are being followed through the flow on the website. And then you get to plan review. And there are, you know, the plan review does, the DigiPlan and Acela work so well together. You know, if there are revisions needed, if there are comments made, you get an email. The citizen or the business gets an email. So they have the information at their fingertips, but that's an important integration, right? If you're bouncing the citizen or the business around different portals with different logins and different like requirements, and it's not super clear, like the order of operations, they can get frustrated. And we all know that really trust is our currency as an agency. And so it's degrading trust that the agency's really there to serve the business or the citizen. So really in terms of the integrations, making sure that whoever you choose as a platform is able to integrate with the things, the requirements you have. Payment providers is another one we see a lot of. You know, Acela, we have over 200 payment providers that integrate with our system. And that is such a key part of the permit process. And we know it's the revenue generating part of it. And so same thing, you know, making sure that whatever platform you're choosing or whatever system you're choosing has the ability, remember, coming from that business problem you're trying to solve that, taking into those account those integrations.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing you said there I absolutely loved was trust is our currency. And that's something that I remember telling my teams repeatedly in my division was every interaction you have with the public, regardless of the nature of it, is either building or eroding that trust. So we're either increasing the currency or we're reducing the value of that. And so honestly, the kind of my last point here is how agencies can really look to create business justification to invest in a technology that maybe has a stronger integration, because there also are varying levels of integration. That's the other kind of takeaway I want you guys to just kind of jot down as well, is there are varying levels of integration as well. And so that's why we kind of talked about the partnership at the beginning of this webinar, was because we do work very closely with Accela on these things. The integration is going to be stronger. But thinking through that and kind of using that public sector trust, right? Like those agencies need to have the trust of the communities that they're working in, not just their applicant communities. And so that can be a big driver in having that business justification to be able to go out and get these new technologies or differing technologies from what you guys are using today. Just kind of as a last point, are there any other tips and tricks, Julie or Rita, you might toss in as that might be helpful for these agencies that are on the call to maybe add to their business justification to invest in additional technologies or different technologies from what they're currently using today? And Rita, I'll start with you.
We're a large jurisdiction, and I think we really like it because the metrics, it kind of see where your weaknesses are and you're able to work on them. We also like this. I think sometimes for a new applicant, first time applying for a permit can be a little bit overwhelming because the way we have our system set up, there's a lot of questions and figuring that, and it's just a little time consuming. We're trying to look at what's the minimum information we require. And then also, obtaining the GIS address, which is important because that saves it on in the long term. Once we do our review and it's accepted, what I really like, and it saved a lot of time, is that the permit's ready to be issued, and it sends out the applicant an email, says, hey, your permit's ready to be issued, and this is what you owe. And it kind of has a little link as to where they can go and pay for that. Now, so once they pay for that, that permit's issued. There's no more, staff doesn't need to touch that permit. And then after that, the permit's issued and they just schedule inspections for the project that they have. And again, I think it's the metrics, the accountability, the transparency, which is so important. And so our phone calls have probably gone down by 80% of applicants kind of wanting to know where are we in the line and what's outstanding and stuff. And that's essential. And the last thing is that it takes staff to train the citizens. And so it's twofold. Staff needs to understand the new program to be able to explain it to somebody else. And that does take some time to, that takes time.
Yeah. Fantastic. Julie, is there anything you want to add to that? I know we're at time, but I'm gonna make a comment. If anybody has questions, now's the time, drop them in the Q&A, but I'll let Julie add a little to that and then we'll close out.
No, I think Rita, you covered it really well.
Okay. She did do a fantastic job. Okay. So it looks like, let me see. If you guys haven't seen the paper that we did jointly, it is available on both of our websites. And I also believe we both posted it on LinkedIn. So whatever your preferred form of media is there, you should be able to access it. And it is free for download. So if you guys want to read through that, we do have kind of some, almost like a bullet point list of some things to take away from that, from both of our companies' collective experiences here. And then at the last thing I will add here is if you guys have any questions or anything like that, feel free to reach out, and we can definitely get you guys some answers. If you have anything, follow up or comes to you later and you're like, dang, I should have asked that, we can definitely do so. So, okay. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. We appreciate it very, very much. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate it.